Lunatic Production. Awesome.
So I'm being confined to staying at home so I can focus on my job instead of playing around with people that think they've done enough. And I don't know. I keep trying to understand whether psychedelics help me. And when I say psychedelics, I generally refer to what other people... Oh wow, that's wrong. That's severe. Right, so, I actually feel fine, and then I smoke and suddenly I feel terrible. And then the question is, why did I smoke? And did smoking just show me that I feel terrible, or is smoking the source of the feeling? Because sometimes I sit here and I write and I cannot let go, and then I smoke, and then I suddenly let go and I do all these things. Just like now, I recorded myself, I finished making the tea, so I took care of myself. And what I'm trying to reject is the idea that psychedelics can help me in some way. But at the same time, food can help me in some way if I know how to eat the right kinds of food. And this is why this cube is actually quite important to me, because it's a set of methods that we call, or steps, towards, if this cube is basically the spiritual path, then this is the way to enlightenment, right? You have a set of algorithms which are then maybe asanas or any kind of practice that you basically hold on to until it can no longer teach you anything. But for me, this cube also resembles sometimes taking a bit of distance towards the practice and forgetting about it. You know it's still there, but you're just waiting for the right time to use it again. So I have stayed away from the Rubik's Cube for some time. Why? Because it allows me to forget so that I can remember. So if I haven't done this in a while, I always start to forget, exactly what the steps were. Although I already learned them by heart, I have to work to remind myself of the steps that I have formally mastered. See, now I'm talking and now I start to forget. Right, and now I made a mistake. Which to me is, either, okay, I think he needs a break, but who says that? I'm not quite sure. You see, that's what confuses me often, that I literally do not know exactly what is going on. So at least I got that back, and now I can focus, because it was like this, like this, okay? So the method is always there. It's just I have to access it. And if I know how to access these places, then I can get back to them. And this is basically why this cube also stands for, a feeling you have had while you were maybe in a state of liberation through either, meditating or psychedelics, and then remembering the state when it was complete, and then trying to get all the tiles to be there again. So if you once took, let's say, MDMA and you felt really good, and then next time you take it and it's terrible, and then you keep taking it and you just feel more and more terrible, well, you're overusing it. You know, this should be done very rarely, infrequently, right? You do it once and then you wait until you want to do it again. I mean, I'm just saying MDMA is not like coffee, but if you drink coffee every day, you become whatever coffee is, and that may lead to a very unbalanced lifestyle. Shit. Sometimes I think I forget, and then I remember again. You know, I say shit quite a lot. And I'm not sure why, to be honest. I don't know, it's just overwhelming what you can do and how far you can go. And, you know, at the moment, I'm just holding on to myself. And I just went for a quick run, just out the street, just around the block. And I just went back and I just had to get out of this. I don't know, something was like threatening to overtake me. And so I just left this place on my own and I just went somewhere else. And, you know, I think that I finally come to the conclusion that I think smoking is bad for my health, right? So am I still gonna continue? Well, you know, every time I feel alright, I smoke, I feel terrible and I want to sleep. You know, I have experimented with this so many times now. Like so many times. I have experimented with it so many times. So every time I smoke, I feel terrible and I just want to stop doing what I'm doing. So the question is, what do I want to stop myself from doing? Okay, I get it. If you have like dark thoughts, then, you know, you smoke to distract yourself from you having dark thoughts. But have you ever considered that the reason you have dark thoughts may be because you're smoking? Because how do you know what smoking opens you up to? Because you are, and that I think we all have to agree on, a spiritual sapalot. Okay, now I can do it the other way around. Seems like cheating for some reason. That makes no sense. Yes, that made sense. I don't know how. Okay, because I didn't mix it through properly. You know? So now I'm stuck with this, doesn't matter, because the challenge is still the same. Remember how to do it and then do it, you know? Remember how, you know, just consider that rebirth and reincarnation is actually real. You know, I cannot tell you if it is real. I can see myself having lived before, because the way I live is completely different from other people. And either is, you know, every spirit is different, right? It's either that, every spirit is different and I'm just a quick learner, or the circumstances of my birth and my upbringing and, you know, my family constellation were simply favorable for my spirit, which is why, you know, I have been given an opportunity to outgrow myself, which is actually beneficial to the entire human race. Because if I learn to see what's in the contents of my mind, I can guide others to do the same and then to sort it out and then to pick the things that lead to a harmonious and balanced life. But of course, there may be people that think that this is a distraction from living the capitalistic dream. And the capitalistic dream is basically, you know, send your entire energy into the system and, you know, you live to work, and for work you get money, and for money you will buy things. And sure, you can save a bit and you can, you know, grow out of the circumstances of your upbringing by piling up huge amounts of money. And then, you know, you just grow old, and because you believe in retirement, you're just gonna keep your money to yourself instead of investing it into, I don't know, whatever you believe is supposed to be invested in. And then you just end up doing what everybody else does. Which is, you know, have a Netflix account, have Amazon Prime because you believe in fast delivery at the cost of the lives of others. Because if you want fast delivery, then there is a postman who has to, you know, accomplish that. And because you pay for money, you think it's okay to enslave others simply because you're too weak to go to or lazy, to go to a collection point, or to just go to the store and just order it from them. No, you want that it's delivered to your house and brought to your doorstep. And that basically is my mentality. I want that things are being delivered to my doorstep. Such as maybe the woman that I desire or whatever. You know, I don't want to go and run after her simply because I think, you know, I'm too good for that. You know, I don't want to humble myself to go and see a woman and find out if she really likes me or if she just wanted to have sex, you know, for selfish reasons and not for making me her husband and, you know, living by my side. So there are all kinds of concepts that we have to deal with, and such is the concept. While I used to be in Amsterdam, I discovered a co-working space and the company said they were run by women. And there was a man working for this company run by women, and for some reason I had a weird feeling about this place. I had a really weird feeling about this place, like they were just using the images of those women to act like, hey, we're better than others. Okay, I can already see, just by looking at it, that I think it's true. I don't think that women are better leaders. But neither are men. I think the idea is that we do this together. And I mean, researchers have tried, right, to find if, you know, in a group of monkeys or vervets, you know, they wanted to see that females are giving the direction. Well, I think that's bullshit. Because you've got the scouts, and the scouts are the men, and they go, I think, that's what I've seen while I was observing them for almost 2 years, or let's make it 1 in total maybe, because I have been also to university, or varsity as they said, which seems to be a British term. And what I saw was that you always had males on the lookout, and usually it was the males that straggled behind, but sometimes, you know, I think they brought up the rear. But then you had the sentinels. So, you know, it's hard to say who actually gives the direction, you know. Feminist women, of course, want to see, or feminist supporters, of course, want to see that it's the women that do this. But this will also vary from troop to troop. Just as every family is different. In some families, there is a dominant woman and a kind of dormant man, you know. But maybe it only appears that way because we work together to bring up our children, right? And that, to me, is only possible with a woman that accepts that I have certain ideals that cannot be violated, and if she wants these ideals to be a part of her life, then she has to choose me as a man and then claim me and say, you know, he is now taken, right? No woman can be with this man ever again because he's mine. And if she has a strong spirit, she can actually maintain that. But if she's weak, right, I would just move on and let go and be somewhere else. So if she would just sleep with another man, I would have just moved on already. It seems that whatever this was seems to be real. It's like about maintaining boundaries through spirit, right? Through spirit. And I can use my mind to understand what I'm feeling on the inside, but I can still work on the outside, which is why I can have a conversation like this and then try to learn how to let my body do what it's supposed to do And my mind is searching for solutions anyway if I let it wander. And sometimes there are so many messages and solutions coming through spirit that I also have to close myself, especially in this apartment, because here is where I'm channeling all the energy. And that means sometimes it turns into quite a scary place because, you know, I'm not sure what I'm channeling here. You know, I'm certainly transforming something, but what am I transforming? Well, I'm not quite sure, because anybody who connects with my content is kind of welcome to, you know, see what's in my mind. And so I also had to learn to close myself from ideas I get from all kinds of people, and that's like the hardest thing of all, to never give in to, you know, what people want, because if they knew what they wanted, they wouldn't have to have internet and all these things, because what they really want is to be free of, you know, all kinds of things that trap the spirit. And so these methods that yogis have used for centuries, which we are trying to capitalize and turn it into something that has nothing to do with the practices that yogis developed and still maintain in some places of the world, are such as meditation and going within and contemplation and reflection and just sitting and observing. Observing what's in the mind without judging it. So if you give in to shame, then you judge what you feel. Then you say, oh, you know, how terrible must I be to have such thoughts? But who's thinking that, right? That's the idea where you distance yourself from what you think and you open up to what you feel. And then you also let go of your ideas of these feelings and you just start to see it as just energy. So shame is energy you can work with, and you can mold it into, you know, not necessarily pride, but at least dignity, right? And dignity stops when you give your self-responsibility to the state, and then they, you know, in the end of that cycle, you know, retirement and then withering away into old age, instead of, you know, practicing fertility and longevity, you practice, you know, retreating within, and then at the end you're some kind of 85-year-old person that's just babbling nonsense because he loses, you know, he just gave up responsibility. It's like giving up yourself. And then somebody changes your diapers, you know, and takes a spoon and feeds you porridge, you know, while you're sitting in a chair watching TV. You know, that's then old people home. You know, instead you could do it like the elders in, you know, The Last Airbender, and just practice your art. Your art is also the way you live. It's your body, it's your physical appearance, you know. Your body is a piece of art. Have you ever seen a healthy leopard, just like in a documentary, that look dirty or unclean? No. I mean, these are predators. I mean, they feast on living flesh, like they eat animals, you know, and then they store them for some days and then they just eat them like that. Do you see them sitting around covered in fleas and full of blood and shit? No. It's not happening that way. You know, they clean themselves and they take care of themselves, and just because you eat meat doesn't give you the right to treat others like shit. Because you never even... Oh, wow. You know, you never did anything to hunt that animal. You know, you feel like, oh yeah, I'm a man, I'm super strong, man eat meat. Yeah. It used to be that way. You know, man went to hunt, but then the entire tribe ate the meat, because that was what was available. And maybe it's different. You know, from tribe to tribe, there are probably vegetarian tribes, and then there are probably tribes where only men eat meat. You know, I don't know these things. But I, assume it's always different, and such as, the contents of your mind are going to be different than from your neighbor. And if everybody hides the contents of their minds, then weird things can happen, and people feel ashamed, and then they think that's how I am, I'm just terrible. No, that's just one side of yourself. But there's also the other parts. I mean, have you ever hurt anyone really? Or did they just want to make you feel ashamed so that they can feel powerful? So, you see, it's very complicated. I cannot just start talking and then make a point, because it never ends there. It always continues. Which is why, I will probably never stop playing with my mind. And this is just one form to engage with it. But, I didn't just pick up the Rubik's Cube and just solved it like that. No, I taught myself how to do it, so I would have a method I could go back to. And it's a puzzle, right? But in the end, it's my own mind. And if I can do this, then I know, okay, I think I'm still managing, right? That's something, it's like these beads that monks use, prayer beads, For me, this is better. Movement is, for me, better. I like doing movements and stuff. So, what's the point of only existing in your mind? And what's the point of focusing too much on your body? Because, it's the balance between the two that, shows what your spirit is. To teach your body to move sometimes maybe on its own, which is then letting go, and to just let your spirit flow into what is happening, and to try to kind of calm the mind so that, while I'm talking, I'm never really thinking about what to say, because I'm not a politician. I don't have to be afraid, right, to be caught lying, because what I see and what I say is what I perceive at the moment. This is how I feel about life right now. And this is why I talk about things in an emotional way, which is why there will always be my own experiences, my own ideas, my own perceptions, but these change over time, right? In the beginning, I was very angry about a lot of things, and I also talked very angry, and then I started to realize why. I think it wasn't really anger, it was just too much stuff that was trying to hide, and just, showed it openly and said, these are my ideas, right? And that's a part of it. And some I just keep to myself, or some maybe I share somewhere else. But always solution-based. And that's why Mentality of a Warrior is now a nice try to bring it all together in a more masculine way, maybe. But I realized that my writing, it has, I'm not sure if it's gotten better. I'm not sure if it can get better if I continue to watch movies and lose myself in other people's creations, because these are a disturbance to myself. That's what I feel. But somehow, I don't know, I did smoke and suddenly I sit here and do this, so how bad could it really be, I'm not a chain smoker. It's hard to say, right? That's just all I have.